Today, we're going to talk about 10 2023 science fiction releases that I'm sleeping on. One of those is a cheat, but that's what we're doing today because I've kind of noticed, I think I've read an okay amount of science fiction this year, but like no science fiction new releases, like a handful, but that's about it. So I was trying to be like, what has been coming out that I haven't prioritized or gotten to yet? And also, I've noticed that fantasy hasn't been hitting for me as much. Like, I've been having more fun outside of that genre. And so part of me is like, maybe I should put some of these on my radar. So if I see them and I want to buy them, I know more what they're about. And maybe you guys haven't heard about them either. So maybe we're all sleeping on these 10 books and we should look into them. And like per usual, sci-fi books tend to have a lower average rating on Goodreads, so you never really know if they're going to be fun or not. Like, it's usually only like the popcorn science fiction that does really well in terms of average ratings. And yeah, there are some of these where I'm like, maybe I'll buy them. Maybe. So we've got thrillers, we've got space operas, we've got AI, we've got robots. Let's get into this list, starting with Archive Undying, which I've seen an array of reviews for. And I don't know where I'll land. I don't know. I think Tori at Torimaro really liked this. And so that's what I'm banking on, is like, we have some similar sci-fi taste. And I would really want to like this. And the blurb seems so out there and interesting. So there are war machines and AI gods that run cities. And I guess one city's AI god kind of went on the fritz, and that caused that city to fall apart. It says there's like an AI deities with a clash with like police states. There are pilot priests and robots. I don't know how all of this comes together into a political plot of some sort, but it seems like a very imaginative place, which is kind of what I come to science fiction for. And this cover does seem quite larger than life. So that's why I wanted to put this one on my radar. Even though, like I said, I don't know if this one's been going well, and unfortunately it has a similar color palette to a book that came out last year that I know hasn't been getting good reviews, which is why I think my brain keeps conflating them. But this one, I do feel like I know a few people who have appreciated its project or just also had a good time, and I'd like to give it a shot. The next one is one that I actually even have a physical arc of, and this is the Ginbot of Shantyport. This is by Samet Basu, who I have read The City Inside last year. That was like a lit fic science fiction that I really enjoyed, very voicey. This one seems more genre sci-fi. Like the other one was anti-dystopian, took place like 20 years from now in India, lots of commentary on social media and authoritarian governments and things like that. This one, we're in space, either on a space station or some planet, and it's supposed to be a take on Aladdin. So I think we have this woman whose brother is a robot monkey, and she's given a task to get an artifact that has 3 wishes. So definitely a lot of the framework of the retelling of Aladdin, but in a sci-fi setting with sci-fi politics. And I really did like his voice in The City Inside. So I want to read this, and I think the cover is stunning, but I just haven't yet. And I think part of that might be that some of the sci-fi that's been coming out this year is less like introspective, thoughtful, deductive stuff and more action-packed space opera, because I'm just have to be in a more specific mood for that. This next one is a sci-fi thriller. This is The Deep Sky. This is kind of your classic, this is our ship to save humanity. Earth is on the brink of environmental collapse, and this ship's been put out. It has this really competitive school, so we have these elite students that are on it going into space, and then suddenly 3 of the pilots are killed, and our main character is the only one who was there to witness it or something like that, and she already was an outsider for XYZ reasons, and we're in space. A killing has happened. We have to figure out why. We have to survive. So it's a deep space kind of thriller sort of thing. I stare at this book often at my bookstore. It looks so pretty, and I'm very interested, like always. But I've heard nothing about it in terms of reviews. I think maybe Tori started reading it, but I can't remember if she finished it, and I can't remember what her first impressions were. Next one I have are These Burning Stars, which I've seen a couple people have on TBRs, but I haven't seen finished thoughts for. This is a cat and mouse quest, like chase quest for revenge sort of thing. So what I've gathered is space opera, empire built on genocide. So, carbon copy of our world. Fun. And there's this one person who finds the MacGuffin, the thing, which is basically proof that a ruling power, who's maybe they're not even like the kingdom, but they are like the power of the economy and stuff like that, was responsible for said genocide. And they want to make sure that that information doesn't get out. Well, not them, but the kingdom, because they're in the pockets of this ruling class. So we have this person who has the information, then we have these two people sent to get the information from them. One of them is supposed to be like the heir for that house, and then there's this mysterious other figure that is after them, and nobody knows what side they're on. So a lot of intrigue in that synopsis, and like I kind of want to know. And it looks like it would be fun, but again, very action packed, so I have to be in that headspace. This next one, so I wrote down The House of Saints. This is kind of the cheat, because this is the one I see at my bookstore all the time. It's so pretty. And I forgot that this time last year, or a couple years ago, it was the first book in this series that I saw all the time and I was tempted to pick up. So we'll talk about The House of Sticks. So that's the first book in this series, but the newest book, The House of Saints, is why this is on the list, because cover-wise, it's something that I'm very interested in. And this seems like a very harsh planet that people are living on. I mean, I think it's Venus, like our Venus. And we have a family drama that takes place on this. I think I got a lot of this from Lana's Goodreads review. And basically, there's a family drama in a hard sci-fi. We're trying to survive on this planet that's hard to survive on. And it's a space opera, so politics galore. And this is just cover stuff. And it's Solaris, and I like Solaris as a publisher, especially for science fiction. So this one, I definitely am the most ignorant about what's in the pages, but I'm interested enough in what I've seen, especially because, like, it's giving me, like, Dune-adjacent vibes. Like, maybe less philosophy, which for me would be a plus. This next one's by an author I've read before, and this is More Perfect by Temi O. I read Do You Dream of Terror 2? That was the name of that book. And this one is near future London. The other one was kind of near future London as well, but in space. This one's near future London in London. And we have a more ingrained social media. It's like augmented reality, but the government has been taking more control over it in ways that are like more dystopian. And it's supposed to be an Orpheus Eurydice retelling, so if you haven't seen Hadestown, something like that. And I really did like how easy it was to read Do You Dream of Terror 2? I just don't know, what More Perfect will be like, but I see it also at my bookstore all the time, and I think about picking it up. But I wonder if it'll be a book that I want to reread. So I don't know, but it is one of those sci-fi books that has been on my radar that I just haven't picked up this year. Similarly, the next one is also an author I have read from before, and that is Sue Burke. This is Dual Memory. This has very mixed reviews on Goodreads. I don't know if it would work for me, but because how much I liked Symbiosis and the sequel Interference, I wanted to give her new release a chance. And this one, like, truly from the synopsis, I don't have a sense of what's happening. But I guess it's a very removed passive voice, which could be good, depending. I mean, that's kind of how I felt with Symbiosis. And we have this person kind of isolated on this Arctic island trying to stop pirates, but there's also, like, a cover story. And I think the part that makes me most interested is that their ally is their AI companion that's maybe kind of an illegal version of AI, and I do kind of love that. So I have no idea how I would do with this book, but I still want to try it, truly. And then this next one is for sure the most popular on this list I'm talking about, and that's Starter Villain. And this is kind of like that popcorn, silly, comedic science fiction that a lot of people would like enjoy and pick up. And so this person, Charlie, I think is kind of having a rough patch in life. If it can go wrong, it does go wrong for Charlie. And then when their uncle, I think it's uncle, dies, they basically inherit the supervillain like lair and business and stuff like that, which means he also inherits the enemies. And so it's just, fish out of water scenario, comedy. I think he has a cat, and I think that's why there's a cat in the suit on the cover. So yeah, I haven't actually read any John Scalzi. And this one, because it has a cat on the cover, I'm more interested than other ones. Like, I'm not even not interested in the Kaiju Preservation Society. And I bought my stepdad red shirts. So his comedic sci-fi is not something I'm against. I just haven't been drawn to it because comedic works are not normally things I'm drawn to. I think I usually use visual media for my comedic things. Next one is one that I actually have still had on my radar, but I haven't picked up. And that's Terraformers, which is like that generational sci-fi that kind of looks into an evolving society on this planet that's being terraformed, talks a lot about like what it means to be intelligent and a person, how different ways societies can exist, I think. Like, it's one of those, I think, more thoughtful science fiction pieces. So less action-packed, but when you are with a character, it's more a zoomed-in focus. I know Bethany and Sci-fi 180 were talking about how this feels like it's really densely packed with a lot of information, like 3 seasons of TV in one. So interested. It definitely feels more like what I typically gravitate towards science fiction for. Whether or not the writing style will work for me, who knows? I don't have a clue. And then the last one is probably the one that I'm least likely to pick up, but I'm intrigued by it because I've heard enough people talking about it and I've seen it on the shelf. And this is The Death I Gave Him, which is that Hamlet retelling that is a sci-fi locked room thriller. Yeah, that's all I know about it. And I actually never remember much about Hamlet, so I'm sure all the things that are very obvious for people who, like, know Hamlet wouldn't be obvious for me. And in general, I think Mara's review is the one that makes me most interested. She did a video on retellings and whether a book was a retelling or not, and this was one of the ones in that video, and I think she was really impressed with this debut, so it does make me want to try it out, or at least it makes me more interested than before, because this cover does nothing for me. This cover does nothing for me. I think I kind of get it, like, why it is the way it is. But, like, if you don't know it's a Hamlet retelling, this cover, I think, really doesn't do a lot for me. But those are the 10 2023 sci-fi releases that I feel like I've been sleeping on. Maybe you've been sleeping on them. If you have a 2023 sci-fi release that you think I would like that I haven't read, put it in the comments down below. Recommend science fiction to me because I feel very out of the loop, or maybe this is just a weird year for science fiction releases. I have no idea. If you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, ooh, I don't know, leave a spaceship because we had like so many space operas. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.